The acting Prime Minister, Winston Peters, and why do I get the feeling that him and I are going to agree to disagree today? Now, I say this because the outgoing Chief Executive of Treasury, Dr. Carolee McLeish, has said, A, we need a capital gains tax. I'm not sure on that one. But B, she said we need to change national super, and effectively saying we need to lift the age of eligibility. That will never happen, Winston Peters, while you're drawing breath. Am I correct in saying that?
Of course, one of these days the age will increase, and it's increased from from 60 to 65 some time back ago when we did make the change, and we made it over a period of time. But the question is that time now? And she didn't answer the question, did she? I mean, this is the kind of what I call right-wing ideologue that makes a statement that without putting out the substance and the facts of it to justify why it's the time to shift now. And didn't go on to say, did she, how much this is costing against the national GDP, against other costs internationally by comparison. These are serious subjects to be had, but we're only getting half the argument from typically a Treasury person whose record on this matter has been appalling.
Yeah, but hang on a minute. Well, we've got no money. We're going broke as a country. One of our biggest expenses is national super.
No, it's not one of your biggest expenses. I just made the point that our cost against GDP would be almost half of what some countries are against their GDP for looking after their elderly people. So straight away I've disposed of that misnomer for a kick-off. But no, they never put the facts out there. They just tell you what their concerns are, because what they're really talking about is that their ideology and dramatic economic changes down the pathway which they went in the mid-80s compared to Australia. We failed here massively, and Australia succeeded massively. That's why their economy is about 38% in real terms greater than ours.
Okay, look, this is just hang on. This is just a vote grabber for you. You know that New Zealand First constituents love your policy. Are you telling me that especially if you're sitting on your backside in a job like you and I are, you can't battle on till you're 67? For goodness sake, you're 79, and some people are saying you're going better than ever.
But it's a lot of things. So look, if you are in a job, and I started off on a farm, but if I was on a farm job, manually working all my life, I wouldn't have been in this shape. Well, you start to be crippled by time with your labour. And that's happened to a lot of men and women, and nobody's taken that into regard. They're just saying, oh, well, we can retire at a certain age. Now, this is the real question. Why are we having this discussion? Because our economic policies fail miserably. We can't afford to pay for our young people, our hospitals, and all those things because of economic failure. Why don't we own up to that rather than think that we can just get by excusing our mistakes without rebuilding a great economy as we once did when we were a world leader?
All right, how are you going to pay your way out of the mess we're in at the moment? What about a capital gains tax? That'll even be less palatable.
Yeah, well, I've said to those very people, so and what do you say when I say, okay, that's good? What about when there's a capital loss? You're going to compensate them for that? They've got no answer for that at all, have they? See what I mean?
So capital gains won't happen while you're drawing breath either?
No, we don't need capital gains tax. What we need to do is get out there and rapidly expand the growth of our GDP, not from a lousy 2 and 2.5 to about 5 to 6%, and do that for a number of years. Other countries have did it. We used to do it one time. And we've just got to get our priorities right, become the export wealth-creating nation we once were. We're not creating enough wealth. We're not adding enough value to our exports. There's only one way out of it. It's called hard work and smart planning.
Yeah, and having a decent infrastructure. Good to see Simeon Brown, who I have been quite impressed by since he's in government, saying you guys want to build roads and fix potholes rather than build speed bumps and cycle trails. There's nothing wrong with the cycle trail or a cycle lane, but too much emphasis has been on it. If we're to improve the productivity of our economy, we need to have an efficient roading system, correct?
Well, Simeon Brown was right. We have these potholes everywhere. Whakakotahi and all these name changes and all this woke virtue signaling, and whilst not fixing up the roads of our country. And frankly, Simeon is 100% right. Fix those things up. They're critical to our infrastructure. And some of the things nice to have you can do after that, but do that first. I was in another country recently. I've been in a lot of countries, and I'm astonished how good their roads are against how bad ours are. We are letting ourselves down badly, and particularly poor people in some of the countrysides. where there's bad tar sealing, inferior tar sealing, and potholes everywhere. It's just not good enough.
Hey, one of the most important roads potentially in this country could be Auckland to Whangarei. You and Shane, you're in power now. Why don't you just build a 4-lane highway?
Because we've got to fix up our road building structure as well. We build roads in this country far too expensively and far too slowly. Now look, on the Puhoi to Warkworth 4-lane highway, on the speed of that, it'll take another 89 years to get to Whangarei. You see what's wrong here? Let's have some plain common sense and admission to your listeners as to what's going wrong and get our record and our performance right for a change.
Now, on the subject of Shane Jones, just to finish on, has he been slapped over the wrist by a wet bus ticket by Justice Minister Judith Collins? Judith has sought to school Shane on the principles of mutual respect between ministers and the judiciary, and this is, of course, after Shane called one of our judges a communist.
Look, the reality is, and can't gild the lily, Judith is right. You can't have those sorts of comments about a judge. You can have concerns about a judge, but how you express them as a member of Parliament, because of the separation of powers, and rightly so, requires a delicate order, so to speak. So Judith is right, but then Shane, when he said that, he was talking about someone's past when they were young, when they belonged to a communist organisation. Now the question is that appropriate to align against someone who at a certain age is more mature? And whether that is an answerable question or not, it should not have been said. And I'm afraid I have to side with Judith in that matter. As I've said to Shane, I know how frustrating it is, but frankly, the separation between the courts and politics is a critical part to our democracy. It's why we have a quality democracy, and the lack of separation in other countries mean they have no democracy at all. So it's a serious issue we're defending here.
We in the media love Shane Jones because he's so quotable. Is he guilty of being a bit flippant? He's taken the telling off by Judith, and now he said he's going to focus his wrath on blind frogs, bats, lizards and skinks that get in the way of his progress when he's building something.
He's rightly taken his complaint from Judith, and he's going to listen to her. Now, that's what happens sometimes. Someone may be a bit over-exuberant. I can understand why sometimes you say these things. I have been concerned about the Treaty of Waitangi Tribunal. I've been concerned for a long time how they're way outside their bailiwick of responsibilities, how they're a make-work scheme.
Winston Peters, Acting Prime Minister, thanks for your time on the country. And just remember, when you're 67, you're not past it. You're still going strong at 79. Thanks for your time.
I'll give you some good advice. Do you mind?
No, not at all. I love advice.
Don't act your age.
See ya.